What's up, everybody? We are here back with EZAnime. We've got a 3-person panel, which is always good. We've got Kyle Bosman with us, who hasn't been here in a long time. Sitting next to me is Bradley Ellis.
Hello.
I'm leading us through this discussion, Ben Moore, and we're talking about something that, honestly, I think in the the last few months has been things that give you joy. If you had to rank things that give you joy, this would be like top 5 for sure. This is a really feel-good show for me. We're talking about My Hero Academia, very popular shonen anime that we've been checking out. And let's get right into it. Let's do a brief summary of the show. What is My Hero Academia? My Hero Academia it's a superhero show. It's a show about superheroes, kind of. It's a show where in the world these superpowers called quirks have developed, and it's the new normal. Almost everybody has a quirk. It's weirder to not have a quirk than it is to have a quirk.
Didn't they say there was like a baby born in China one day and it was glowing? Then people started having quirks after that.
Is that the
I think
exact
that's what it was.
backstory?
I
Can
think
you
that's what it
verify
is.
that?
Yeah,
I do not remember
like
the baby being born in China.
I just remember like this is very weird.
That was the first superpower. That was the first mutant, basically.
All right. And the story centers on a kid who does not have a quirk initially, Midoriya.
Classic shonen.
Deku. Yeah, and I want to talk a lot about Deku, actually, because I think he's a very key component of this show. But it is, I think when you explain My Hero Academia, it doesn't sound all that special. But
no, it definitely does not.
It doesn't, because you have a kid who looks up to heroes. You have Midoriya, who looks up to superheroes. He wants to be one so badly, so desperately, and he just can't. He can't be a superhero, but then an incredible event happens, and his fate sort of changes, and he struggles with his newfound abilities. Like, if you watch any Marvel movie, any origin superhero story, there are a lot of parallels to draw here. But that's like the basic summary. What makes this show worth watching? What is the number one thing that if you said, hey, everyone's talking about My Hero Academia, why should I spend the time to dig in? Kyle Bosman.
That's a very pointed question.
Yeah.
I wish somebody wouldn't ask me that.
Okay.
I never like having to like defend something to somebody who's like, prove it to me. You know what I mean?
You don't have to prove it. You don't have to prove it. It's just they're coming from a point of understanding. Like, why do you like it?
About it.
You've seen every episode. Why did you watch every episode?
Yeah. I like. I mean, I feel like this is almost a genre of a school of some sort of weird. I mean, like Harry Potter is this,
right? Absolutely.
Naruto is this. School of ninjas.
Yeah.
For a while.
So it's superhero school,
right?
Which I feel like could even be. I almost guarantee it's a Disney Channel show, like superhero school.
I think there was a show where kids had like superpowers. Their parents had superpowers. Or something.
Yeah. So like, why this? And it's the kind of anime where the cast helps it up, props it up.
It's the characters, man.
Yeah, it's the characters. It's a story twisting in interesting ways. In that, here's what caught me. You watch a lot of pilots. It's a really good pilot. It's a really good first episode. Because it sets up the character who doesn't have a quirk. It's a lot of exposition, which it's so funny. They say never do exposition. I feel like I talked about this last time I was on the show, but I love it in anime. I love exposition. I think it works, and anime finds interesting ways to do their exposition. But you get this hint that All Might is not okay.
Yeah.
You get this at the very end. There's a little bit of blood gushing out of his mouth.
So I think we got to talk about All Might.
Yeah.
Where All Might is the number one hero in this universe.
Normally boring. Normally that's a boring guy.
Right. Not All Might.
Yeah.
But it is important to establish, like, he is top dog. He is the symbol of peace. Everybody believes in this. You're not talking to characters, whether it's villains, whether it's heroes, whether it's normal bystanders. Everybody just accepts that All Might is the best, the most powerful, smiles in the face of danger.
Yeah.
And our main protagonist, absolutely obsessed with all heroes, but particularly All Might.
Invincible. Never fails.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So what makes this kind of Superman-esque character so interesting?
So, we learn quickly that he's not all right. All Might is sick. All Might is he's been wounded, and the way he describes it is you can flex your muscles, but you can't do it all day. And so he can't be All Might all day.
Right.
And so a lot of the day he spends as this guy with poor posture whose hair droops down.
I love
He's very freakish looking. And it's actually interesting in these first few episodes. He's not hopeful. He tells our main character to, like, you can't be a hero, man. You don't have a quirk.
Right. And I love that, because you kind of expect it to go like, hey, Midoriya, you want to be a hero. If you really believe in it, you can. And you just have this soul-crushing scene where he's meeting his idol, and he goes, yeah, no, that's not going to happen for you, which is really good. I actually had a very visceral reaction to seeing All Might's other form, his non-muscular form, his weekend form, because he can't stay as the symbol of peace all the time. Like, I was just like, oh, this guy's kind of gross. And he looks, what I love about this weekend form is that he looks so different from everybody else that he looks frail. He looks like if you could sneeze on him, he would pass out.
His eyes are two white dots in a completely blackened out crevice where the eyes should be.
Right. Yeah, there's something absolutely unsettling about him. Brad, what did you think about the setup with All Might? How do you feel about All Might as a character?
I mean, it was the most standard shonen thing I would expect, kind of like underdog hero thing like that. But it worked out good with Midoriya. I think he's a good character. I like that he's a crybaby a lot too.
Yeah,
I like that he's always crying about stuff. He's not getting like super better yet, which I really appreciate. He's not already just awesome already. Everyone loves him already.
Yeah.
What do I like about All Might? I just love the typical like like thumbs up kind of superhero guy.
Yeah.
But then when he goes like he just starts coughing up blood all the time like that, and he's really struggling. The comedy works with him in that way.
I think one of the big things that I like about My Hero Academia as a show is it makes good on what it's saying. Like it like almost never just says things and then lets them hang there. When All Might says like, hey, you gotta smile in the face of danger, like you see Midoriya multiple times like process that lesson and be like, oh man, like I have to grin and bear it even though I'm in the face of danger right now. And you see All Might, like he's not just this poster boy for heroism. Like when you see him defend UA, he gives it 110%. Like that fight alone, you're like, okay, everything you're saying about this guy, all of this lip service that you're doing to him, I totally believe the way that he saved everyone, putting himself at so much risk. Like, of course he's the best hero. And his power, One for All, what I love about One for All is you see All Might use it, and you see how powerful it is, and you see how effectively he can wield it, how fast he is, how strong he is. When Midoriya eventually gets One for All, like, it's destroying his body.
Oh my god, I love that.
He can't handle it, and when you like, every single trial that he does, it's like, all right, if I want to do this, I'm gonna break my finger, I'm gonna break my arm. I'm like, he goes to Recovery Girl and she's like, you are killing yourself. And so it's not just, hey, Midoriya gets this power and then he's suddenly king of the world. It's like, no, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna suffer.
Such a nice slow build, dude.
Yeah.
Like when he throws the baseball for the first time.
Yep.
Or he uses his finger or his index finger, and oh my god, it's so great.
Yeah.
When he's starting to control his powers so slowly. I love that they're taking a slow pace with it.
Yeah.
What I like about that is Recovery Girl, who is an old superhero,
Yes.
who now works for the school.
Right.
She smooches you to restore your powers.
Yeah.
They make a limit. She says, hey, I can't do this every day. And that makes it clear to us as viewers, oh, he can't just like break his arms every day and be fine next episode. I love that. I love that limitation on powers. Like you think of Naruto when their eyes are bleeding, and it's like, you'll go blind if you do this too much, and they never do.
Yeah.
Like it's that. Like I like the limitation, and I like it meaning something.
Pretty much blind when they fight.
Pretty much, but he's not. He can still see.
Well, he's like 16 at that point, so he would have been blind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think just sort of that weakness makes the world so much more believable. And you were talking about Recovery Girl and how she's this old woman who smooches her patients to heal them.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it didn't have to be that. She could have just, like, put her hands on the kids and then healed them, and she would have effectively served the same purpose.
Yeah.
But she's a much more interesting, much more endearing character because she smooches them to heal them.
Yeah, it's like the granny kiss where he gets kissed, too. And it's like,
Right.
it's like when your grandma kisses you, you're like, kind of like that.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
perfect.
And it just adds this whole other layer of charm. But I think another strength of My Hero Academia is we're talking about the weaknesses that Midoriya is feeling. That extends to everyone in that school. When I believe I just said it before the show, Tokoyami, Dark Shadow, Tokoyami.
Love Tokoyami.
When he fights, Tokoyami, to explain this for the audience, he's basically this bird boy who can summon this monstrous dark shadow, which has a will of its own, and he's kind of going through training to have a better mastery of it, to wield its power more effectively, and it's stronger in the dark than it is in the light, and he fights Bakugo, who's basically kind of the rival. He is the rival. He's not kind of. He is the rival of Midoriya, who creates explosions, basically, with his hands. And so when they fight, when they face off against each other, because Dark Shadow is weak versus light, he just loses because it's a bad matchup for him. And I like that. Pokemon. I like that if you're doing a tournament, you might get a bad matchup and you might lose just because of that. And so what I'm trying to say, to wrap it all around, is I don't feel like they're selectively applying limitations or rules. Like there's a consistency. Like all of these heroes are good in very specific ways. Like 13, I believe, the
astronaut?
The astronaut lady, where she's like...
has the black hole.
Right, she's wait, is 13 a man or a woman?
I don't know.
I thought it was a woman.
Okay,
I'm not sure.
I thought it was a woman, but it...
Let's go with that.
Okay,
I mean, we got the wiki. I'll look it
Check
up.
it out.
All right, check it out. I was pretty sure it was a woman, but now I'm doubting myself. Anyway, 13, this is in this astronaut suit, can like open up the fingertips of her suit and use a black hole to suck people in. And she's like, yeah, this is really good for rescuing people. It's not great in combat.
I love that they have tiers of like superheroes that do different things, like the rescue disaster one, stuff like that. Oh my god!
Right.
They show like the firefighter guy at the beginning.
And this is something that we've talked about in other EZAnime episodes, but really that attention to world building, where you were talking about, Brad, different tiers of heroes. It's not just this Ultimate Hero Academy where they're at, that they don't only train heroes.
Yeah.
They've got people in the business unit that you see during the
They're
tournament.
like analyzing
and they're
stuff.
trying to figure out how to sell
Marketing,
Midoriya. You've got the support unit, and you see them making all of these crazy things that can help heroes in battle. And so it's like, of course not everyone's going to be a hero.
Right, yeah.
Of course not. Here are these other people in this world that make this world work in ways where, like, of course the heroes are going to be fighting crime. Here are the people. Here's the underneath them that is supporting them, and I really like that element as well.
I have an update on 13.
Great.
The wiki entry is gender neutral.
Oh,
Gender neutral. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So who knows?
mystery.
All right.
I'm actually 13's weird to me. It's just a hollow shell.
Right.
Yes.
Right, because when they get attacked by the League of Villains and they open up 13, it's just like this black void.
Yeah.
So
Who knows what 13 is like actually?
Yeah.
What are you?
what are you? I'm sure.
A dog.
I want to read the comments on this. I'm sure we've got some interesting.
I mean, I could keep reading into the wiki.
It's all right. You did
did
what
what
you
you
could.
I'm sorry, we tied that into the rules.
Yeah.
And I thought 13 was a little cheap because I thought 13 died for sure when they're just like blown up, just. And 13's like, no, I'm okay. It's like, well, come on, you died.
Sure.
You died.
Yeah.
But anyway, Ben, rules are one of the things I love about anime.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It's almost like game design, the way you talk about it. Just, again, back to that example, you have shadow powers that are really strong at night, but
Right.
during the day they're not. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like a risk-reward even. Everybody has their own weakness, but it's kind of like designed in a way.
Yeah.
I love rules, and I love sticking to them. And another thing you were touching on that I love big time is hinting at lore and just saying, we'll get to it.
Yes. Oh man, this show is a master at doing
Planting
that.
seeds.
Particularly with All Might, and kind of getting into the second season a little bit, you get this impression that All Might maybe messed up pretty bad. And like this is just the way that he's presenting himself, the way that he's not telling Midoriya everything, the way that he struggles to tell him everything, hinting at a much richer backstory. Absolutely, Kyle. I completely agree with you. Another thing that I want to get your opinion on is when a lot of anime, I feel like, particularly shonen anime, struggles on when to develop characters, and so it's like, all right, here's the episode where we're focusing on this character.
Yeah.
And I feel like My Hero Academia does that a little bit, but is much better at being like, okay, they're in this tournament or they're in this exam. Here's where they're fighting. This is where we're going to expand on them a little bit. And we're not going to give you everything. We're not going to give you their entire life, all of their struggles, but we're going to like just bump them up a little bit. I think with Momo, the creation lady, when she's taking her final exam with Todoroki, and you find out that he voted for her as the class president, you realize what she's been struggling with. Because all of like Todoroki, Bakugo, Midoriya, they're all so strong that she's like, I'm super smart, but I don't have this great practical experience.
But just a tiny moment like that, Ben.
Yeah.
They did those votes episodes ago.
Right.
Episodes ago.
Right.
And she'd get 3 or she'd get 2? I forget which.
She got 2.
Okay.
I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was 2, and I think he was one of those 2 votes.
Right, and it's so fun to have the teacher announce all the votes, and it's like 2, it's like, oh, somebody else voted for you. You don't care. At that moment, you don't care. It doesn't matter to you. But then to bring it up later, it's like, that's a moment. That's a strong thing.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like with shonen anime where you have an arc, and then it just like, all right, we did that. You can push past it. We're never referencing it again. Like they kind of put it away, and they don't do that here. All the time, they're bringing up little tidbits that you learned early on, or they're referencing, and like they make you very keenly aware that these characters are forming pretty strong opinions about each other. Like I love the way Aizawa treats Midoriya. Aizawa is somebody who's very rational, who doesn't want to deal with the press. He's like, you're out of control. Like it might look impressive, but if you have to break yourself to use this power, Midoriya, like that's no good.
Is that Eraserhead?
Eraserhead, yep.
Cool.
Love Eraserhead, dude.
Aizawa Sensei. And so I know we're throwing a lot of names out there. It's going to be hard to explain all of these characters if you haven't watched the show, but something that we talked about in the beginning that I kind of want to circle back to that I think everybody can understand is, you were saying that it was kind of like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
I think the idea of supernatural kids in a school, we haven't sucked that dry yet. Like apparently, still everybody's way into that.
Mm-hmm. People love superheroes, man.
I think there's just something inherently, like you want to be in a school where everybody's doing some magic or superpowers. Like that premise, like if you have that premise, it doesn't matter that a bunch of other people have done it. It's just kind of inherently interesting. Do you think if you were to compare this to other supernatural school things, why is this so good?
I'm thinking of like a manga anime like this that has a school, and it pops in my mind as Soul Eater, which have you guys ever seen Soul Eater? Read it?
I haven't seen Soul Eater.
It's like kids in school like doing this kind of thing like that, and I really believe that the strength of this show is the characters.
Yeah,
like when they did Todoroki's arc, going through his whole family arc, really like that. I really love that story. It sets up their motivations for their characters, and it really like cements who they are really strongly, which I really appreciate. I hope it goes into deeper into more characters, because I feel like there's so many more it can go into.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's a long way to go, I think, with it.
So, Brad, I think you're hitting the nail on the head. Reading the manga, in between chapters, he'll do sort of like character profiles. The Kohei Horikoshi, the writer and illustrator of My Hero Academia, he'll go into character profiles, and there's a similarity with all of them where they're like, oh, I think this person is really cool, and I haven't quite found the perfect
I love that kind of stuff when they do that.
To elaborate on them, but I'm going to do it. And I don't feel like you can completely write anybody off in My Hero Academia, and I want to talk about Mineta really quick. He's the pervy, grape-head kid.
When you're saying that, I was like, maybe you could write him off in my head.
Right, but
it's like, no, you can't.
Yeah, you can't. You can't write him off. And so he's the one who's always trying to peep on the girls, who's really becoming a hero to get girls. That's his driving force.
Yeah.
And at the end of the second season, which is all they've just 2 seasons of the anime so far, he is fighting against Midnight, kind of this like very sultry, very sexy adult hero, and you're like, okay, he's clearly gonna lose. And Recovery Girl is watching, and she's like, I don't think he has enough of a driving force to win, to be a hero. I don't think he's got what he takes. And he ends up doing a pretty elaborate plan and winning, and really being like, no, like I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get the girls. And you're like, He did it.
He
like
did it
he
his
thought
own
through
way.
this whole situation. This wasn't just a joke. This was actually pretty clever. They're spending a lot of time to this. I can't write this character off. And I love that feeling. I love being surprised like that, where I feel like My Hero Academia is constantly going like, hey, you know this kid with the weird looking face that we haven't seen at all? Well, he's going to help defeat Present Mike by summoning these bugs and wrapping around him. And I think that's awesome. Is there any character that really turned around for you, Kyle, where you didn't like them at first and then through development, you eventually warmed up to them?
So yeah, there's you'll have to help me. Fire and Ice Kid.
Todoroki.
Todoroki. Todoroki is like seemed redundant at first. It's like, oh, we have our angry bad boy.
It's the Sasuke of the. It seemed like the Sasuke character to me when I saw him.
Yeah.
Right.
And so again, like it's hinted. He's got a hint of backstory. You know what I mean? Look, I'm just not. I got fire and ice powers. I'm not using the fire powers. That's pretty cool. Because you know he's got a reason, and then finding out his reasons and seeing his backstory is cool. And so yeah, big turnaround on him. I don't feel you with Mineta. Even after that episode, I still think he's a crummy character.
He's definitely on. I guess the way that I want to frame it is he's still low on my list. I'm not thinking about getting a shirt with Mineta on it.
Yeah.
But it was like, I have to recognize you. Like you're more a part of the story than I thought you would ever be.
Froppy, I think, is that kind of way. We're
Absolutely.
just like, you're starting the show. It's like, oh, that's a good obscure character. That's a really good little weird one. I hope like they give her funny lines.
Yeah.
But then as it keeps going, it's like the show realizes how good Froppy is.
Right.
And now she's like top 3. She's
Yeah.
like, they know.
Yeah.
The show knows how good Froppy is.
Yeah. Froppy is my favorite character in the show.
Yeah. Her
And-
power's just frog powers.
Yeah, she's just
How can you not love
an
that? Yeah.
adorable frog girl.
She's
and,
nice.
one of my favorite moments so far is when they're all picking their names, and they kind of have a few terrible names, and then she gets up there and she's like Froppy, and everybody's like, that's amazingly
Yep,
cute.
you nailed
That's
it.
amazingly cute. And so she's very endearing in that way. And they could have just left it there. They could have just made her a cute frog girl, but she's this like very calm, very collected person that can think critically in a situation. Like she's not just there to go on at, like she's actually really useful. And later on, Midori even says like, hey, we got through that UA attack because like Froppy didn't freak out. Like Froppy was coming up with plans and stuff. And so I like that. I like that very much.
One of my favorite episodes turned out to be a filler episode about Froppy.
Yeah.
The boat?
Yeah.
Dude, I
Turns
knew
out
that was filler. I knew
How
that
did
was
you know,
filler.
dude? I
Yeah.
was like, this is good.
I've
This
seen
is a good
enough
episode.
anime to know it's filler. like a one slice story.
Yeah.
And just one episode, one and done. That's 100% filler.
What I like about that filler episode is even in the manga,
Yeah.
when they're talking about kind of what they did during their internships, she mentions that. She mentions that episode.
Oh,
and so
that's
they,
cool.
they took
They
that
took
kernel
something,
of an
yeah.
idea.
That's a good
and
idea,
made it
yeah.
into something interesting, yeah. But not a lot of filler in My Hero Academia.
Not yet.
Is that a
much
trend? Is this a new thing?
Well, the thing is, I think it depends on how close it gets to the manga and how popular it is. If they really want to stretch that out.
So
and milk it.
you predicted there will be filler coming up.
I'm
because
sure
it
there
is-
will be more filler, yeah. As it gets closer, they need to space
Yeah.
it out.
Whereas I feel like here they had a lot of material to work with already, and so therefore you're not running into
Yeah,
that.
like Naruto, pretty straight canon line for a little bit, then stretch that thing out, man.
Yep.
Make all that money.
Brad, was there a character that you turned around on during your watching of My Hero Academia?
That's a good question. Let me look them all.
Scroll down for you, Brad.
Oh, Ida.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, your typical good student kind of guy, class rep, all that good stuff, whatever. Just like, okay, whatever. Then they did the whole arc with his brother getting injured by hero killer. What was his name? Stain?
Stain.
Dude, I love that arc. That was so good. And like his brother going, like him visiting his brother when he's in the hospital and him taking up his name as a superhero, going through that whole vengeance arc, and him like realizing the mistakes that he's made kind of thing and being a better person for it. I was like, he's got some like total big flaws in like a department I didn't expect, which I really appreciated.
Nice. Talking about different arcs, is there a storyline that resonated with you the most, Kyle?
You know I love a tournament arc.
Okay. So before we get into the specific My Hero Academia tournament arc,
Yeah.
what is it about tournament arcs that you love so much?
It's an easy, clear progression. You are challenging characters against each other, and it just escalates no matter what. And just like it's just this perfect. I don't know. I just innately enjoy any like
Tournaments.
rising of a tournament. Yeah,
Do you
climbing
think?
the ranks.
Do you think that has to do with like you, Kyle Bossman, being competitive? That if you were in such a tournament, you'd want to win?
Yeah, but also I think tournament arcs are prevalent because everybody loves tournaments.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah. Just writing wise, it's easy. It's easy and it's fun.
You know what else is easy about tournament arcs that I realize, and they do this in My Hero Academia, is they do the thing where like Midoriya doesn't win. He doesn't win the tournament, but you're kind of he accomplishes so much. He accomplishes the most with it, and so I feel like you just as a writer, you have the most to play with. Where it's like, okay, here's the obvious expectation. Clearly, we're not going to do that. How are we going to make this go? And I think what Midoriya does is he's fighting Todoroki, who is above him, but he uses so much of his power that Todoroki, who refuses to use his flame side because of his terrible relationship with his father, Midoriya is like, no, like you're not getting through me unless you use it. And I was kind of like with you, Kyle, where I thought Todoroki was fine, but he really wasn't much more to me than a very powerful, kind of quiet kid, very much a Sasuke character, as you were saying. And through Midoriya, through that loss, I cared way more about him than I did previously.
One thing to note, I think, is actually really interesting is that we do see, the main character, Midoriya. We see him fail a lot, but I think even at the end of the first episode, we know for sure that he is to become the best hero, the number one.
Oh,
hero.
yeah, for sure. He's going to be
So,
Hokage.
yeah. But I mean, he announces it in the narration. He says, and this is the story about how I became the number one hero.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's fine to see him fail. We know that's okay. But as you said, so the stakes are low if he wins. And so you're right. It is much more interesting.
He doesn't need to win yet.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to do that.
Yeah. In this tournament arc, we get to see rivalries with other classmates.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was thinking about tournaments. The great thing about tournaments is that it gives an excuse for them to show all these characters'
I
abilities
was
and
just
everything
going to
like
say
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Another thing about the tournament is I feel like if you're dealing with a villain that's kind of an unknown quantity like Stain, you can't have too many characters in that fight. And if you think about the Stain fight, it's really Midoriya, Ida, Todoroki. It's just those three because you have to develop Stain. You have to give him a reason for being
Motivation,
there, for
all that,
fighting.
yeah.
When you just have the tournament, when you just have this class, you can get way more people in there because you're not also developing these other villains as well. And so that's super effective. Kyle, you made me think of something, and I completely blanked on it. Something about Midoriya, something about him failing. Oh, talking about stakes in the tournament.
Oh, sure.
Obviously, we have this basic setup of Midoriya wanting to be the best hero, and so you want him to win the tournament. And when he loses, you feel that. But to me, the most emotional loss of the whole thing was Uraraka. Kind of the developing love interest of Midoriya, somebody who is not immensely physically strong, doesn't have crazy like blasting powers, but can manipulate gravity and loves her parents so much that, and they're very poor. She wants to become a hero to make money to support them. And after she loses to Bakugo, kind of a very strong explosion hero, she calls her parents and she's sad, she's upset. That she didn't win, and she's kind of getting emotional, and I was getting kind of emotional because like what a human thing. Like, have you ever had that teary conversation where you really wanted to impress your parents and it didn't work out? And it was just like, to me, that was the most human moment of the whole thing. Really like that a lot.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. He's not in the School for Heroes. He's the guy who can like make you freeze.
Yeah, I forget his name as well.
I can look it up real quick.
Okay.
Anyway, that was my favorite moment of the tournament, really. To see people like, they're introduced as evil. They're introduced as like, oh, look at this bad guy who wants to get in the class.
Right.
But of course he wants to get in the class. We all have powers.
Right.
But only these people get to become heroes.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they do such a good job of not just creating this bubble of this class, of Class A, and you're not just dealing with the relationships between them and the conflicts that they're dealing with. You realize that like everybody cares about them. They're having an effect on everybody. And this person that you're talking about specifically is jealous that he wasn't able to get into the hero course that they got into. And another thing that they do is later on, they're like, oh, hey, I know you. I saw you during the tournament.
Oh, regular people walking around the mall.
Like regular people walking around the mall commenting on like, no, you were on TV. That matters to me. That's having like this effect on our perception of you as a hero.
Yeah.
And so I think just casting that wide net is really important, really cool. Sticking with the tournament, they could have just had him fight. They could have just had him duke it out and introduce quirks of different people that we hadn't seen before. But they don't do that. They've got this really cool jousting game where they have points wrapped around their heads on these headbands. And like that's this thing about the show is it's taking this concept that could be so much less and just constantly finding creative new ways of engaging the audience and of testing these quirks and like suppressing some quirks here and raising up others in different ways. Like, what is I love her. I love her to death, and I keep forgetting her name, the inventor girl.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we got both right here, actually.
Okay.
So the guy who freezes you is Hitoshi Shinso.
Okay.
And then it's Mei Hatsume.
Hatsume. I knew it was an H.
Like made like the jetpack or whatever,
Yeah.
or the boots.
Where during her battle, she's not even interested in winning. Mm-hmm. She just convinces Ida to put on this equipment, and she kind of just avoids him while she's showing it off. And she's like, "Oh, I hope the bigwigs are seeing this." And she's just like this bundle of energy. She's so much fun to watch. I like want more of her immediately, and haven't gotten it yet. Brad, do you think this is a funny show?
Yeah, I think it's pretty funny.
Okay.
I think All Might's one of the funniest characters. Just like the situation, like when he finds out about his teacher, and that Midori's gonna be his like intern for him or a little bit, and he gets really scared and shaken up the whole time. And you like never seen. We see him fight like that pterodactyl brain guy, like
the Nezu.
yeah, the Nezu,
Nemu?
like, whatever those guys.
Nomu.
Not even scared, whatever, fighting this, but his teacher, this old tiny little man, just freaks him out, dude. I love that.
Gran Torino is that guy.
Gran Torino, yes, dude. Love Gran Torino.
When he first sees Gran Torino, he's like in this dilapidated, like this disgusting apartment.
Yep.
And he goes in and there's this pool of what he thinks is blood. Gran Torino's lying face down, and there's like, he thinks intestines by him, and it's just like ketchup and sausage. And he wakes up and he goes, "No, I'm fine," and it freaks out Midoriya. And it's just, he's pretty funny. Yeah. Kyle, what don't you like about this show?
I don't like the costume designs.
Ooh, let me hear it, dude.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
I think so. I really like their school uniform costumes. The unified ones are actually really cool. The
blue ones,
the white and red, all looks really nice. I think like some of their superhero persona costumes are just kind of like bad.
Bakugos or whatever
with the grenade arms, and like weird things that stick out of his shoulders.
Back,
and so a lot of them are overcomplicated. You can emphasize grenade arms and have a cool costume, but there's a lot of things going on with that one.
See, I disagree, and here's why I disagree, is because I feel like they back it up with that character. And here's the scene where I think they do it, where they're picking the names, and he wants to be like Lord Murder Explosion Death. And they're like, no, you can't. Like,
because it is important to note they design their own costumes.
They design their own costumes.
So it's really a reflection of themselves. Yeah.
Right. And so he's somebody that like wants to be as loud and strong and aggressive as possible. And so I think his costume is going to be like way more elaborate than it needs to be.
I think those grenade arms have a practical use too. It allowed him to do like ranged explosions.
Stores his sweat.
Yeah. I mean, it looked dumb, but
that is another nice thing, and I don't know if it would give you a greater appreciation for it. In the manga, when you're reading, they will explain the costumes and like, here's why I designed this way.
Cool. Right. So creation, the woman who has creation powers.
Right. Momo. Momo Yaoyorozu.
So I've complained publicly about her dumb costume and the weird like butt shelf she's got.
Sure, the butt shelf. Yeah.
And then somebody showed me that description in the manga and said, "No, it's a book with magnets." Yeah. And it's like, it's still bad. Sure. It still looks really dumb. She's got a book that hangs off her back that she can use to go and think of things to create. That's dumb. It looks dumb.
Fan service character.
Yeah, and it's a fan service character. She's 16 or younger. I'm not sure. Anyway, a lot of the costumes are just kind of like not good. But that's hard.
Man, I don't know.
Really
I think a lot of the costumes are so good. Like I think about Mineta, right? And he just looks so dumb.
Yes.
Like he's just got this big ring around him. He just looks like a giant idiot. But like, of course he does. Of course he looks
like his big gloves. The big gloves bother me.
Right.
But I guess
everything
makes
about
sense.
him is kind of annoying.
Yeah.
As intended. But like, what do you think about Deku's costume? Let's talk about this. Where it's kind of this homemade homage to All Might.
I don't understand why he has the hood, but he never wears it. He wore it one time.
Sure.
And he just never wears it again.
Yeah.
And he's got like this weird like neck guard mouth thing. Like I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just like, why do you have that?
I do agree with you, Brad. I think I would like to see him in full costume.
Yeah, it's like why
more,
have the hood if you never use
because
it?
He's just never in it. You just always see his face.
Yeah.
And so
Just get rid of it.
I don't know.
But I think it's, again, as Ben said, like intentionally frumpy.
Yeah.
He's not there yet.
Right.
Oh, for
When
sure.
he is the number one hero.
But it's like he gets the redesigned costume though from like the school. They give him a new costume.
and it's still kind of sucky.
and it still
frumpy.
has like the hood on and everything like
yeah,
that. He
like
doesn't
baggy
use.
in weird spots.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. That's part of the
I'm
character.
just like, okay, yeah. I mean, I understand the costume reflecting the character, but it's like you don't need that.
If we ever get to a moment where he puts on All Might's costume, I'm
Dude,
just gonna cry.
it's
Like,
gonna
I'm just
be
bawl.
like, yeah,
I'm just
count
gonna
on it,
bawl.
man.
Final arc.
Yeah.
yeah.
When All Might inevitably dies somehow.
Yeah, he can't stay in a
It's
green
gonna,
costume forever. Yeah.
He's gonna graduate to that.
Let's talk about how My Hero Academia looks, how it sounds. When these superheroes are fighting, when they're using these quirks, are you convinced that they're powerful? How does the animation convince you of these characters? Like what sort of tricks, what sort of things do they use to get you absorbed into this world?
So far, the animation doesn't seem very rushed to me yet, where it looks like they didn't crank it out super fast. We'll see how that goes down the line. But it seems pretty good quality right now. Like the effects, like the fire, everything like that looks really good. The explosions look good. When Stain using his sword with the blood, that all looks really great.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. You got to watch it because like their first test, they're taking down giant robots.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, hold on. I mean, don't push it too far too fast.
Right.
And then we definitely did. We definitely reeled back. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
They're not taking down giant robots all the time.
I forgot about them facing giant robots, and they do have this thing that I don't really like, where I feel like they were trying to downplay the giant robots.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, they look fiercer than they actually are. They're actually not that big of a deal. It was like how they looked didn't necessarily match the way that people dealt with them. Because when they got to the tournament and they're like, oh, giant robots, that's no big deal. And it's like, well, it's weird that it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could have been 10 feet tall.
Right.
They could have been 10 feet tall robots. It could work.
Yeah.
That's an interesting question, though, Ben, because I feel like you have a point on this, about the impact of attacks and powers and things.
Yeah, I had forgotten about the giant robot thing, but I feel like what they do is they really save when they do kind of that next level jump in power, they've earned it. And I think about still my number one all-time favorite thing is in season 1 of My Hero Academia, and it's the All Might fight where he comes in to save the kids from the League of Villains, from this like hybridized quirk monster.
Yeah.
Because up until that point, like the kids weren't fighting at that speed. They weren't punching that hard. And then suddenly All Might comes in and he's just just visually operating on an
clear
entirely
difference of
different
power,
level.
yeah.
And then when it's like, okay, it's time to develop Todoroki, he's the son of like the number 2 hero. He got in on a recommendation. He's hot stuff, and he creates that giant ice wall that goes outside of the stadium, and it's like no one else did that.
Yeah,
like they went all out on him for this reason. I'm convinced of his power, and so I think they really work for it. And I think Midoriya with his One for All, he's not using it all the time. It's like, okay, I get like 5 seconds to use one
Yeah.
for all. It's going to be really powerful, but then it's gone.
They're
Like,
very
I can't
conservative
do
with it, which I like. Yeah.
Right, and I do think that the conservative implementation of powers is very, very good. And you're not seeing a lot of the teachers, which I think is good.
No, yeah.
And when you are seeing the teachers, they're kind of limited. Like during the final exam, and they're facing off against the students. It's like, this isn't our full power. We're wearing these weights.
Weights, yeah.
I like that. I like that they're not devaluing kind of the mystique of these adult heroes.
And
in
even
this,
then,
this
they're
world.
kind of letting them win.
And even then, they're kind of
Looks kind of some softies letting them win.
You're right. Kyle, I just have to ask you, what do you think of the principal?
Okay, principal's great because you have this expectation of the hero of heroes. The principal of the hero high school has to
Right.
be like, if All Might is a teacher, what is the principal?
Right.
And he's just the goofy little animal.
He's just a goofy little mouse.
Yeah.
He's
He's
just a goofy
adorable.
little
Yeah,
mouse.
he's
Yes.
adorable.
I actually don't remember what his quirk is.
It's just super intelligence. He's just like way
And so that's
smarter
why he
than-
was able to do the crane?
Right.
Okay, great.
Right. But Kyle, you were talking about hinting about stuff with the lore, and during that fight when he's facing off and he wins the fight, he's like kind of shaking, kind of like drinking tea, just laughing maniacally. They're saying like he's like this because humans didn't really treat him all that well.
Yeah.
And you learn that he's an animal that developed a quirk, that developed a supernatural intelligence. That's super not common.
Yeah.
And so then your mind starts racing like, oh, wait, what does this mean? We have this whole different layer of this world that we can explore that we're only just hinting at right now.
Can I just say I love that
Yeah.
not every character in this universe is like super good looking character.
Yeah.
Like there's a
yeah.
bird kid, there's like a badger, there's
Yeah.
just like that weird like tentacle kid. Like people look weird in this universe, which I really love.
Yeah.
Like some of the villains are just like gross. Like that villain just has like a hand on his face all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It's like really cool stuff like that.
And I did not. So something that I didn't like, and Brad, I want to get your take on this. I thought the League of Villains kind of sucked.
What do you mean? I like the backstory they're talking about with them.
Yes, I liked it too. But the League of Villains, so you first see the League of Villains really in full force when they come and they attack the Academy. And I feel like kind of the face of it, the character that we're focusing on, Shigaraki, like he does some stuff, but he gets beat pretty easily.
I like that.
Hold on. And then the second time you kind of see him, all of his glory that he wanted to get from these creatures is taken away by Stain. And Stain just seems way more interesting. He really has a reason that they're explaining for doing all of this. And I feel like we were all this time, it's like it's fine that Shigaraki got beaten easily, but it's like I don't even really know what you're doing and why. Like where's the motivation?
I feel like
for
there's
attack?
this bigger organization. This kid, he's like a young kid to me still.
Yeah.
He's like a total novice in being a villain kind of thing, and he's learning all of that.
Right.
To me, he seems powerful. Like his quirk is disintegration,
Right.
which is really awesome. We haven't really seen him fight really that much though yet, which I love. They're hyping him up when he's eventually gonna brawl.
Post season 2 stuff that I've read in the manga, they really go all out with the League of Villains in the best way. That
Excellent.
threat, that menace, that purpose that I was looking for, is really injected. So Brad, like if you're into it now, like it
to
just
me,
goes full throttle.
It's a slow build. Like
Yeah,
this whole
it is.
thing it's like a slow build, and we're just getting little tiny pieces. I can't expect the blow off immediately like that.
It plays off your expectations, Ben, is what I kind of like about it. Because
Yeah.
the first time you see it, it's like a wall, and you're like, oh no, the League of Villains?
Right.
And it's like, no, it's pretend. There is no League of Villains, everybody. We're just calling ourselves that.
right.
Well, to me, those were like hired goons. All those
Yeah.
guys that came in, like only
They were,
those
yeah.
two guys I felt were like in the league.
Yeah.
and they were the bottom of the totem pole. That's the vibe I got.
Well, they're it.
Yeah.
They're the entire league.
Yeah,
There is no
but
League
there's
of
like
Villains.
the
It's
whole
just these
thing
two
in the
guys.
background with all the guys back there doing
Yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff too. The whole Akatsuki vibe.
Yeah. One for all.
One for all, yeah.
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 No, all for one.
All for one, excuse
All
me.
for one. Yeah.
Oh my god, the story with that and
Yeah.
how that. Oh my god, I love that.
Yeah.
So what do you love of to give some context as much as we can for the audience, we learn that that One for All came out of a very, very selfish quirk called All for One, and it was in this fight with this really powerful person. He was the one that injured All Might, that put him in this state where he can't be super buff guy all the time. Why do you like
I loved it because it was the relationship between them as brothers, the two brothers, and how this power spread through his the one brother, evil, totally coming, the young, sickly brother who had the power to spread the powers, like a weird, like they thought he was quirkless, but that was his quirk, and him dedicating, like, spreading this power on throughout history to just stop his brother.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that.
You were talking about how much you liked exposition in anime, and that was total exposition, where like All Might is just sitting down and telling the story. But I think, again, talking about like that extra layer, it's because All Might is the one who now, after all of this time, like doesn't want to expose his prize pupil to this real evil, this type of evil that he hasn't encountered yet, and like how hard it is for him to get those words out. That's what gives that exposition so much weight to me.
Did you like the brother drama? Were you into the brother drama?
Not in the brother drama.
Okay.
But again, it was just a backstory.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It gave you context for that, though.
Yeah. We didn't, like, again, this is why exposition is sometimes okay. It's not like it's just like 18 years ago, and then we like see the characters and then have conversations.
It didn't do that,
Yeah, you can just have one character tell the other person this happened.
How it happens,
Yeah, you can do that sometimes.
Something that can annoy me in superhero stories, and I'm not saying whether or not it does annoy me in My Hero Academia, but it is present, is it's not just superheroes protecting people. There is also the police. There are also investigators. And they're kind of doing stuff on the side, and they will show up and they will work with the heroes to get to the bottom of things. Do you feel like they really add a lot? Do you like this, like, kind of more mundane, more believable aspect of crime fighting in this universe?
All I can think of is the one guy who's All Might's buddy. He's quirkless and is just kind of a regular police officer.
The policeman. And then they also like show the cat police officer, and then you have the dog come in after they fight
police
Stain.
chief.
The police chief.
Yeah.
Remember
Okay.
him?
Yes.
He's
All
like,
right.
woof.
Yeah, he just says woof all the time.
That
Love
is
it.
very funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody's got to do the paperwork, Ben.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to throw the cuffs on.
Do you think if, like, that character, that human character that is All Might's friend, if he came under attack or died or was held hostage, do you think you'd feel it?
Not yet.
Okay.
It depends how much time they spend on it.
Yeah,
and
they're
his
gonna-
relationship.
they're
with
gonna make him
All
count.
Might, yeah.
But I forget, Ben, again, talking about rules, I think it's explained briefly that there are very specific rules about what heroes are allowed to do.
Yeah. There is. They like this is some season 3 stuff that they get into.
Okay.
Where they kind of explain how dangerous it is to use your powers in public. And
Great.
that really hasn't come into effect a whole lot because it's mostly just students in this academy where it is kind of all watched over and okay. But once that gets out into a public space, this does raise a lot of complications. And you see that with Stain, where the kids beat Stain.
And they
beat the
shouldn't
hero
have.
killer.
Yeah.
And like the police chief comes in and he's like, you can't take any credit for this. Like, we gotta sweep this under the rug. Like, unless you want to be super punished, where this is getting like erased essentially. And so you were talking about rules, those having a consequence. I think that's super good.
Yeah.
I had a transition and totally forget it. A critique that I have.
Okay.
Which feels kind of contradictory to what I was saying earlier, but I think it's okay to be frustrated by things in the moment, even if it doesn't pan out that way. Sometimes I think there are just too many characters. There's just too many.
Yes.
There's just too many. And they keep making good, and they keep surprising me and people that I had written off. I eventually get into, like, I'm okay with the slow burn, but I think when you have characters that seem so charismatic, like Earphone Girl, whose name I cannot remember for the life of me.
I'm on it.
She just seems awesome. She seems fantastic. I just want more of her. I'm sure it's coming. I'm sure it's going to be great. I'm sure this criticism is going to be neutralized. But I think in the moment, if you just keep presenting me with really cool characters, I'm naturally just going to want to know more.
When they introduced all the other classes, at
Yep.
a point I was like, oh no, this is way too many characters for me to remember or care about at the time. Like, luckily they dialed back from those characters a lot after
Right.
that whole arc. but I definitely have that. Like, I'm still trying to get to know the main class still.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of them already.
Kyoka Jiro.
Jiro. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think you are right on the money with this Class B, because right now it feels like there are only a couple of people that matter in Class
Yes.
B, and it's not just Class A. You have this whole other class, like a lot of students, and I feel like they're just kind of in the background. Like they pop up here and there to show that they don't want Class A getting all the attention, but it's still kind of frustrating where it's like you took a couple steps with this, but not enough to really get me on the hook for Class B.
Yeah.
Kyle, do you think that's BS?
I love it. I love how many characters there are. I love that every time the character is on a screen for the beginning of the episode, it'll say their name and their power.
Yep.
They do that all the time.
Yeah, it's really hard to read with subtitles because it's just too much on the screen. But I like that that's there. I think it's an advantage. I think it's something that makes it unique is how many characters there are. And that they all have a very particular power is so fun.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's great that they'll have powers and stuff like that. I just worry about them getting lost in the shuffle sometimes.
Sure.
Kyle, where do you want to see the show go from here? What are your hopes and dreams?
Okay. Let's just skip to year 2's tournament arc.
Okay.
I want to see. It's an interesting question, Ben, because it's like we can kind of clearly see the path to becoming the greatest hero. And so I am more interested in the class developing as heroes, I guess. In that, like when they had internships, that rules. That's something we can all relate to in a weird way. And so I think it's the another one of my favorite episodes is the one where they pick their names. And so I'm not as interested in the villains and seeing what happens with them. I'm kind of interested in seeing how the classes go.
Yeah.
We've seen their exams and what their exams are like for year 1. So how does it expand from there? What else do they have to do to learn how to be heroes? Which is, impossible to do. And so, yeah, I think that's where I'm most invested.
Yeah.
And I want to see the other classes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Two things really quick. The internships were phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because of it wasn't just the kids going out and seeing crime. It was, hey, you're going to be in this perfume ad. Hey, you have to look the part.
You have
the
to
best,
comb your
best,
hair.
Best Genius is like
Best
the best.
Genius, yeah.
Him just sitting there combing Bakugo's hair is just
a guy
10
with
out of
jeans
10.
on his face
And
is
his
so
power's
funny.
denim, right?
Yeah, his power's
just
denim. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's
Yeah.
good. It's
I
really
can't
good.
do like that's the thing is like I just love these dumb ideas.
Yeah.
A superhero's power is denim is so dumb. It's a funny
Yeah.
joke immediately, but then the show says this is real though.
No, like, and
That wasn't
he's a
a bit,
super
that's
well
real.
respected
Yeah,
hero.
he
Like,
takes it
people
so
aren't
seriously.
making denim
Yeah.
jokes.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
they're he's a big shot. The tournament arc, maybe this is flipping it too much, but the tournament is kind of seen as like they present it as the Olympics of this world.
Yes.
Everybody watches it, everybody gets excited. It'd be interesting to see if like the heroes mess up in some pretty substantial way and heroes are just not accepted, like there's the strong resistance
X-Men
against them,
style.
and they have to carry on with the tournament regardless, where they
Yeah.
have to carry on with like heckling from the crowd or people throwing stuff or trying to break in, whatever.
So Ben, that's a good point because a threat that's been popping up a lot, as opposed we have the threat of the evil villains who want to kill everyone, but also just like you could get kicked out of this class,
Right.
But then season 1 and 2 go by, nobody gets kicked out.
Nobody.
It's all good.
And they pull that threat card a lot,
Yeah.
where they're like, oh, you got last, but then some circumstances happen where, nope, you actually did okay.
Yeah. So if you ask about like things I'd like to see in the future, it's not necessarily deaths, but I
Yeah.
think it'd be very interesting to see people get kicked out of 1A.
Oh, someone's
Right.
going to get kicked out.
Like, imagine they got to say goodbye to Ida.
Yeah.
That would be heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kyle, I really
That's
like
good
that.
stuff.
Hopes and dreams for the future, Bradley Ellis.
So this is a shonen. I want to see the inevitable time skip where Midoriya and his crew are kind of the generation of heroes now. The heroes now have taken a seat back. Now they're the ones in charge of everything, like how the world is shaping around them. Maybe new kids coming up, maybe them teaching kids stuff like that.
I like that. Brad, the second generation, give me a hero. Make up a power. Make up a quirk.
Yarn.
Yarn.
Yeah.
Okay.
They can make yarn.
Okay. Boy or girl?
It's gonna be a boy.
Okay.
He's gonna have a lot of yarn powers. Yeah, he's gonna like tie stuff around, make traps with yarn and all that good stuff, tie people up.
I put you on the spot, and I think you nailed it. Yeah.
I got one that's like you got magnets on your knees, so you're really good at doing leg locks.
Ooh.
So you, like your knees can press together, and nothing can separate them until you demagnetize them.
I could see that happening.
Does that like stop bullets?
No. It's
Okay.
really like I guess you got to use it. You got to be flexible with it. So yeah, you could leg lock a bullet that's coming up.
If someone like bumps into you, do you get like accidental leg locks?
You're right. It needs to have drawbacks.
Like is Bakugo like hitting you and your leg locked?
Yeah, it's like if you think a romantic thought, your legs lock.
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
And they're gonna
yeah.
fight.
Oh, I love
they're gonna
that.
fight someone who has magnets also, so they're gonna push each other back. Or he's gonna they're gonna like a character like that.
Yeah.
Before we move on to recommendations, the one last thing that I want to say about the show, and the reason I'm saving it for the end, is because like I don't really know how to elaborate on it. I just like it. When you see Deku watching like that YouTube video of All Might repeatedly, and his eyes light up and he starts bouncing his head, I absolutely from the depths of my soul adore how convincingly they sell Deku's passion. Like, this is his life. He's going to devote everything to this. He just is excited about superheroes, and I think we've all felt that, where there's been something in our life that we just can't get enough of. We just can't stop chasing after. And like, it's not the most profound thing in the world. A lot of shows have done it, but when you do it well, like, how do you not relate to that? How do you not buy into that? How do you not want to see Midoriya win? So I really like that a lot. Kyle, we're at that part of the show where we talk about anime recommendations. For the guests, we always say it does not have to be an anime recommendation. You can recommend whatever you want in this world.
I think the last time I was on this podcast, I had not yet seen Gurren Lagann. Is that true?
I think that's true.
Maybe.
I think that's
Yeah.
true, yeah.
So I have seen that at this
Yeah.
point. I've seen everything there.
Yeah.
When we talk about no filler in My Hero Academia, there's no filler in that show.
Yeah.
It moves incredibly fast, and it moves into very interesting places.
Yeah.
It's not a show that just chills out and is like, let's just have a roaming hero for a while.
Yep.
It blasts past that quicker than I'm ready for.
Right.
And I think it's a very interesting show. I really like it.
Really cool mech designs.
Yeah. Fun with mech designs.
Like the banana one.
Yep.
Yeah.
So fun.
And mechs where it doesn't really matter mechanically. So you
Right.
also watch a ton of Gundam and it's like, oh, no, that needs to be perfect. It needs to be the same proportions every shot.
Right.
This needs to be able to, like, I need to be able to put this on my shelf. It needs to be physically capable of existing. And that show, no, it doesn't matter. These things got teeth and faces. They can slap things onto themselves. It's fine. And just gets bonkers. And gets sad.
Yeah,
He's willing to be
gets sad,
sad,
man.
So, like, the first episodes, you set up this thing, but, like, it's not even that far in where you realize, oh, this is a sad show.
Yeah.
There's some sad elements to this.
Oh, man, that early sad moment, that's
real sad, man.
the moment. I'm hesitant to ask for more details or for you to like describe the show because I really think the fun of it is not knowing and kind of forming your expectations of it and then having those get blown out of the water. I mean, there's like where that show goes, there's no way you can predict what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the fun. When you watched it, Kyle, when you watched Gurren Lagann, did you kind of watch it all at once?
No, just like I do most of the times, it's like one episode a night, one or two a night.
Oh, that's
Nice.
good. I like that.
Yeah.
Have you pretty much consistently watched at least one episode of anime a night for like months now?
No, a lot of it'll be like when I like go to sleep. That's a boring anime. Like just something I know that's like there's too much of it.
Okay.
But it's not English, so it won't keep me up.
Okay.
Like that's like how I watch most anime, and then like, but sometimes I'll be like, wait, this is interesting, and then I'll watch that whole thing instead.
Have you lost a lot of sleep to anime? Like, have you?
No,
is
anime
it-
helps me sleep.
Okay.
It helps me
But
sleep.
I'm just saying those moments where it's like, hey, this is interesting.
Oh, that was Hunter x Hunter. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That's so
Nice.
funny.
Like Hunter x Hunter looked like, this looks dumb. What
Yeah.
is this? This will help me sleep. And I'm like, whoa, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like episode 2, I'm like, okay.
I have to say, there are a lot of things we get a lot of recommendations. I think I have to say Hunter x Hunter has to be like the biggest one we're dealing with right now.
Oh,
Like,
it's coming.
people are swearing that up and down. We are going to do it. We're going to do it.
That's
at some
like
point.
a year though,
That's
Ben.
a juggernaut.
I know.
That's
yeah.
a year.
I know. And I don't want to rush it.
Yeah.
There are some things where we weren't able to get through it in time. It's like when it comes, and I want to be right and part of the reason for that is like you swear by that. Like that's your all-time
Yeah.
favorite granddaddy ever.
Yeah.
Despite all the
Granddaddy.
cool stuff that you've been seeing. Brad, you got a recommendation? For us?
Yeah. Pretty new. I'm gonna recommend the Castlevania anime.
Nice. Brad, I was
just
looking at
haven't
it the
seen
other
it.
day.
Yeah, it's based off Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. Follows the story of Trevor Belmont. I would say, it is the game kind of, but also kind of prequel-esque thing. Goes through the story of Trevor Belmont. It's really short. There's only 6 episodes, I believe. Really great animation. Really respects the source material. If you're a fan of the game, you'll definitely notice stuff from the game. Because I did a lot, and I remember talking to Huber about it, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't know that was from the game." Like specific character stuff like that. Super violent too, which is awesome. Just a good time. It's a good first part though if you're looking for like that nice go through crunch satisfaction. It definitely leaves you wanting more though.
Okay. As somebody who is big on Castlevania, it sounds like this did justice to your heart. And
To me,
Netflix
yes.
animated series
Yes.
did justice to Castlevania.
Yes, that's my reaction. I was like, "What?
Okay.
Why was this good?"
So, assuming more Castlevania comes, do you think there will be a lot more, a little bit more? Like, where do they
I
kind of
could
leave
see
things?
like 2 more seasons of this game.
Okay.
'Cause they're-
Good.
yeah.
3 seasons.
Yeah, I could
All
see
right.
that.
Nice.
And then you move on to the next game.
Yeah, there's a lot to go through.
Yeah.
If you could make a game into an anime, or have an anime adaptation, or an anime original story, what would it be?
Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger. Excellent answer, Brad. You're always going to get me with Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
Azura's Wrath, I think, is just prime for it.
I could really go for a new like Mega Man X anime.
Yeah.
That'd be sweet.
I
too.
would be
a
worried
good
about
idea.
that. I would be very worried, but
Yeah,
yes.
but if they can make the cutscenes look like they do in the game or something like that, could be really cool. If it's done right, of course.
You know, I'm trying to think of like, you know, the stuff I like. I like the rules. I like the progression.
Sure.
I don't know if I got a good one for this.
Parappa the Rapper.
Trying to think of a game with really fascinating
Rapper has an
world.
anime.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, and it's weird. They made a lot of changes that are not
Okay.
happening. Fascinating world. I mean, like a Donkey Kong anime would be very good.
An anime of Donkey Kong could be sweet.
About him just trying to get his island back.
His bananas on the island.
Did you
Yeah.
ever see the CG show?
Oh, I'm very familiar with this.
Oh my
show,
god,
yes.
it's legendary.
I watched that a lot.
it's
yeah.
very legendary.
Yeah. There's a game that's like on the tip of my tongue that has really interesting, very strict world rules that I would like to see play out in anime, but I don't know.
Star Fox.
I'm sure I'll think of it the second we stop
Star
recording.
Fox. Would not watch.
I would watch.
I want Star Fox to be the puppets. If they're gonna do Star Fox,
Yeah,
television, I want
that's
them
actually
puppets.
better. Yeah.
Is Andros the bad guy? Don't
Yeah.
watch that. Don't
No,
watch
I mean there's Andros. He's like the bad guy you think, you know, but there's actually the guy in the background.
it. Ooh, nice.
Yeah. All for one.
All for one.
All for one, yeah.
This is one that people have kind of been beating the drum for a long time, and I'm not as far as I want to be. I'm on episode 4, but it is phenomenal. It is like, okay, you guys who are screaming very loudly about this show is absolutely incredible, and you're right, everyone should watch it. Like the animation, the story, the world, the characters, everything, A++++. I really want to do an episode on it.
Whoa.
Sooner rather than later, and that is Made in Abyss.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, so Made in Abyss. What's frustrating, and like there's an anime strike like rant to be had. I don't know if that's within the scope of this episode, but you can watch it on Anime Strike, which you have to have a Prime subscription and pay $4.99 a month for if you want to watch it. If you
Just
wanna
one
stream
month,
it here.
and we'll catch up, and then we'll stop paying for Anime
okay.
Strike.
It's only
Okay.
13 episodes, so
okay.
that's
okay.
there you go.
Woof
Okay.
retracted.
Yeah.
But to sell Made in Abyss, I think we can use a lot of things that we've been talking about for My Hero Academia, where you have this extremely mysterious world where there's the world is in ruin. There's like basically this plague that is hurting everybody. Like people lived in kind of like makeshift houses, and there's just this abyss, and it just keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper. And the deeper you go, the more exotic and terrifying the creatures are. And so they've kind of built their entire society around this abyss. Their whole economy is based on the abyss, where it's like the deeper you go, the better relics that you find, the more that you can sell, the higher your status in society, all of this stuff. And you have this girl who these sort of relic hunters, they have these whistles, and the color of your whistle determines kind of your status. And her mother was a white whistle, and she finds a note that says, "I'll be waiting for you at the bottom of the abyss." And so you have this little kid who, like, if you go past like layer 2, they're like, "No, you're dead forever." She's like, "I'm gonna go to the very bottom of the abyss to find my mother." And we were talking about My Hero Academia. Why I think one of the reasons it's so enjoyable to watch is that they're constantly hinting at things. That is this entire show.
Yeah.
Where you have this fantastical hole that filled with who knows what, that they're constantly hinting at. Like, they're showing you little glimpses here and there. You kind of have like scattered pieces of history and hearsay, and just figuring out exactly what this thing is, what the real cause of this destruction is, what's at the bottom, the story of her mother. Like, there's so much mystery to just keep pushing you forward, and man, is it adorable. It is seriously an excellent show. Like, you should watch it.
It sounds like a good premise for a dungeon crawling game.
Yeah, absolutely, it is.
So is it made in Abyss? Or?
Made in Abyss, not made in Abyss.
Okay.
When I say it
Abyss.
fast,
Yeah.
made
space
in
Abyss.
In space
Okay.
Abyss.
All right.
Yeah. The people were right. That's the moral of the story.
Good.
The people were right.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 would be a sick anime.
Got Andrew Reynolds, dude, doing some anime tricks, dude.
Do you think something like a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 would be a better anime than something like Thug, which has a more established story?
Yes. Yeah. Because the story I'm imagining is not about doing
It could just be a
hijinks.
sweet tournament.
Wait,
Yeah.
but is it like they're actually taking Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 literally, where they're like collecting the letters of skate?
Yeah.
Oh my
And it's
God.
like I need to get those letters before Tony does.
Yeah, it's an anime tournament show.
Yeah.
And
That'd
is
be
it
so fun.
Yeah.
is there like an original character for the anime, or is it just the skaters?
I think it's your create a character skater.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's just like, whoa, that's Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk's the legend of like the
Yeah.
school, yeah.
And he's doing it like a
900. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, everyone
Yeah.
freaks out.
Yeah, I know where the skate is here. Yeah. All right.
Tape. The tape.
The tape.
He found the
Look
tape.
at the tape.
You'll
Yeah.
never get the tape before me, new guy.
Yeah.
The main character always listens to music too when he skateboards. Like, he puts on headphones because it really helps him skate.
Yeah.
I believe Darth Maul is in 3, right? Tony Hawk's Pro
Sure,
Skater 3.
yeah.
I think Spider-Man is
is
too.
too.
Spider-Man is in 2. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's where I was going
Easter
with
egg.
this.
Yeah.
You encounter Spider-Man.
Yeah,
Halloween
absolutely.
episode.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Oh man, you killed it, Kyle. That's the one. That's what we gotta make.
There is a beach episode.
There's a beach
Oh,
episode.
you bet.
Do they
Yeah.
skate on the beach?
Dude, Roddy Mullen's going to the beach. They're going to the beach.
Beach episodes normally chill out. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like you find more new character dynamics at
They're
the beach.
bodyboarding. That's
Yeah.
what they're doing. They're
Yep.
surfing. Jamie Thomas out on the waves. Kidding me?
If you have a lot of time on your hands and ability or no ability, can you just like try to make the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2?
Yes,
We'll
please.
take a manga.
We'll take a manga.
We'll take a manga.
Yeah.
Prefer manga. Absolutely, I would take a manga. Yes, please do it. Man, it always feels good to get a guest on the show.
Yeah.
I love what they bring to the table. They bring things like the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 anime. Thank you, Kyle Bossman,
Thanks,
for
Kyle.
joining us.
Yeah.
We will have you on again, I'm sure, especially, absolutely, when we do the Hunter x Hunter episode, which will come someday. But I hope you enjoyed this. A lot of ground to cover with My Hero Academia, a show that I really enjoyed. I know Brad enjoyed, Kyle, that you enjoyed. And yeah, we're always open to feedback. So if you have any criticisms that you want to lobby us, any ideas on how to make the show better, we're willing to listen to that too. And even though we get it all the time, give us the recommendation. Sometimes we find things like Made in Abyss, which is all because of you guys. Thank you again. Peace.